How do you assess that performance overall? You satisfied, a bit frustrated, a bit of both?
Well, bizarre, really. The outstanding features and the poor features are apparent to everybody, so we don't need to get the video out and go back through it. Poor individual mistakes, poor start to the game. I like the way we showed the composure to recover from that initial mistake, and our use of the ball throughout the first half was excellent, right the way through the team. Very calm in playing through their pressure. I think the game, the pattern of the game was exactly what we thought, that we would be pressed high, we'd have to handle that they would have a threat from their direct play, but there would be space for us to play through them and to be able to exploit them on the counter-attack. So that's as the game played out. Our attacking play and our, Raheem, Jadon, Harry, outstanding, really. I mean, Raheem's 2 performances have been of the highest level. I think he's been almost unstoppable. His awareness of where defenders were, his ability to ride challenges, his vision and desire to get in on goal, and unselfish play as well. So I couldn't speak highly enough of the way he played. Jadon, we were talking about the 3 on Saturday. Jadon's performance was at that level as well. Worked really hard for the team without the ball, and showed the ability he has to go past people, to be calm in tight areas. So that part of our game was absolutely outstanding, and we continued that threat for most of the game. The small period after half-time, ridiculous mistakes, poor decisions, lack of covering back. So we made the game really uncomfortable for ourselves, because on a night like this, where there are such a brilliant atmosphere, both sets of fans, but of course the Kosovo fans lifted by the fact that they've nothing to lose, so 5-2, 5-3, is it possible? Then actually we took control again, and we kept possession for a long period, which actually calmed the game down, and that led to the penalty, which of course would have put the game to bed. So, okay, it's going to be one of those nights, is it, where even that's not going in. But they didn't really create too many more opportunities. They had the one curling shot from outside the box. And, we had opportunities on the counter. We've hit the post. And we still looked a threat till the end. So, look, brilliant game. I would imagine we were saying, international football was dull. Well, that wasn't the case tonight. Did it go exactly as I would have hoped it would have gone? No, but I've got to balance the 2 performances, the 9 goals, what we've achieved this week, against the obvious errors that will have cost us tonight, and of course would cost us against better opposition.
Gareth, we saw the sort of individual errors against Holland as well. Do you think it's just a lack of concentration rather than anything more fundamental than that?
Well, I think that's something that we've got to consider over a period of time, because there were obviously mistakes that were concerning, really. Whether it was the intensity of the game, whether it was the pressure. I don't know. We've got to reflect on that, but. There were such basic errors, really, that you have to learn from. But what I would say was, generally as a team, they recovered from those errors, and although there's nothing worse than a losing lead for making a team feel uncomfortable, I think generally speaking they took control back of the game, and even the likes of Mason coming on at the end, that's not an easy position for a young player to go in, but we know he's got the maturity to play the role really intelligently, and took the ball under pressure, pressed intelligently. So actually was in many ways a better experience than strolling through the game at 5-6 or whatever, even though we could probably all have done without it.
Okay, good to Dave Kidd.
Do those sort of errors ever make you, in any way, change your philosophy? It's obviously been a pretty pure kind of way of playing out from the back. When mistakes happen, like particularly maybe the first one and one or two of the ones against Holland, does that ever make you feel you need to be, we need to compromise in some way?
No, because we haven't got caught being pressured in our own 6-yard box. The errors in Guimaraes were basics, and the errors tonight were basics. So that's nothing to do with any philosophy. We didn't play any more than Kosovo did. They also played from the back. Occasionally they gave us opportunities, but I don't think our mistakes came from playing in ridiculous errors or taking poor unnecessary risks. They were simple passes that were intercepted, really.
Okay, we've got 3 to go, starting with Simon.
Hi, Gareth. Jadon obviously made a big impact, scored his first international goals. Mason's done well. And just wondering how you thought the younger members of the group had done, and I guess how exciting it looks for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think still really early stages of Declan's international career, and he's given 2 really mature performances, which, although he played in the summer, he's still such a young player. Trent, important experience for him. Mount, 2 important experiences. Jadon. So you want to be able to get them all into the game, and maybe at 5-1 or whatever our intentions would have been to do that. At 5-2, 5-3, then you're thinking, okay, how do we actually affect the game? We felt, in actual fact, we were still a huge threat with the ball, and we didn't really feel the need to take a step back because we weren't structurally defending poorly. We just made some crazy errors. So at some of those moments, rather than change something for the sake of it that actually might influence it the wrong way, we left it because we thought, generally speaking, that was the best way to see out the game. And then felt Barkley and Sancho just started to physically tire at the end, and the 2 lads came and saw the game out well. So, but no, in terms of the young players, there still won't be many teams in the top tier of European sides this week who've played as many sort of under 22, 23 as we have, I would imagine.
James?
Sort of following on from that, was this sort of the loss of control for a period after half time, is that sort of inevitable with having such a young side? And do you want them going forward to learn maybe a bit more game management at the start of that second half to just keep the lead and keep the ball a bit?
Yeah, I don't think it's inevitable, because even for a young side, we shouldn't have been making the mistakes that we made. But it's not a bad thing for them to go through, to experience that. I mean, we've had a lot of qualifying games that have been a breeze, and today they've had a different sort of test. And the only way for them to mature and learn and improve is to go through those sorts of situations. So, I mean, you would still feel a 2-goal lead from the side. We're thinking we still control the game, but on the pitch that sometimes can feel a little bit differently, and they've got to feel that and have to respond to that. So we've learned a lot from individual and collective responses to those moments tonight.
Last question.
It was just 3 changes to the starting 11 tonight. Does that mean we're coming closer to seeing what is your first 11? Or is it the case that there's never a first 11, just the team that's on the pitch that night?
Yeah, I think we've got such great competition for places, and I think we've got a core of a team, and then you've got to look at the opponents and the way that they play and who might cause them problems, and we're going to need a squad that people that can come in. So very hard to say that's the first team when you've got 4 attacking players like we've played in the last 2 matches when they're all going to have huge contributions, they've all got the ability to be devastating against any level of opposition. So I don't think we can work that way. Equally, there are guys that didn't get on the pitch tonight or on Saturday that I think can still play a part going forward. It's very early in the season with their clubs. Some of them haven't had a huge amount of club football. I'm expecting all of them to progress as the season goes on. So I wouldn't want to be anybody to be leaving disillusioned that they haven't got on the pitch or they haven't been able to play their part. To get in the squad at the moment is a challenge. It's a high level to get in the squad, especially for the young players. And there are others out there that we think can come in and have a similar sort of impact.
Thanks all. We'll now head upstairs for the daily newspaper briefing.